You are welcome to today's lecture. Last week, we saw the basic study techniques and methods, and we looked at steps in developing good study skills. We are just trying to recap what we learned last week. And we looked at some steps you have to take that will help you to develop good study skills. One of them is making and keeping a study schedule, study in appropriate setting, equipping your study areas with all the materials needed, not relying on inspiration for motivation, taking good notes as insurance against forgetting, overlearning materials. And then we also looked at the SQ 3R reading methods. We agreed that S stands for survey, Q for question, R for read, the second R for recite, the third R for review. We went on to look at developing good reading habits. And we said in order to develop good reading habits, you have to improve your reading skills. And we said, how do you do this? We said when you read, you have to first of all read for content. And we explained what that meant. You have to read for the main idea in that reading material. We said keep reading materials handy. You have to connect reading to your everyday life. You can have a reading list. We went on to look at how to handle examinations. We said if you have to prepare for your exam, the first thing to do is to start studying early. We also agreed that you should sort out your subject materials. Find out information about that examination as much as possible. We agree you should review past questions. You should also know your examination venue and time is part of finding out everything about that exam, including the grading system and so on. We agree you must not panic. You must build self-confidence. So preparing for examination. We agreed also that when you are in the examination hall, you should use your time wisely. There are things you are supposed to do using your time wisely. We said you should be careful interpreting your questions, and you should also leave a little time to review your answers at the end of the exam. So that is, in a nutshell, what we handled last week. This week, we are going to be looking at Module 6, and that is the final module for this very course. So we have been able to go through from the first module to the last, and here is the final module. So I think you will be well prepared for your examination. This way, you have been able to go through all of the modules. Module 6 is copyright, plagiarism, and referencing. Copyright, plagiarism, and referencing. Now we are going to start with Unit 1 of Module 6, which handles intellectual property rights. Intellectual property rights. Now, what is intellectual property rights? Intellectual property rights, I would say that is a right that confers on individual author or enterprises the right to exclude others from the use of their creations. You have the right. This right, it gives the author the exclusive rights to exploit and benefit from their creations. It gives the author exclusive rights to exploit and to benefit from has a framework that governs access to information. Nigeria, for instance, has a framework that governs access to information. This is what we call copyright. It gives the author the monopoly of controlling the distribution of his work. It gives the author the monopoly. The right is only for a while. Copyright right is only for a while, it's not forever. Every country would stipulate what it takes. Some will say after 30 years of the demise of the author, the work can go to public domain. So it's just for a while. So we have examples of copyrights, patents, books come under copyright, artwork, trademark, and so on. So why do we really have, is it really important? Why is copyright important? Why is copyright important? One, the first thing, the purpose. It has one economic purpose. And the second aspect is that it also has a moral purpose. Economic purpose and a moral purpose. Under economic purpose, it encourages creativity. Under economic purpose, it encourages creativity. When an author benefits from his work, his intellectual creation, he would want to create more. If I write a book, for instance, and I make money out of it, just me, and the book is not pirated, I will want to write more books. So it has economic purpose. Then it also has moral purpose. Moral purpose has to do with integrity of the created work. Integrity of the created work. We have to make sure the work is protected, that the work is not distorted. The work is protected from mutilation, from all various forms of modifications. So integrity of that work has to be protected. So this is the reason why copyright is on board. I don't want to go into the history of it. You can quickly read it up. But let's look at the issue of fair use, because it looks as if copyright excludes, will I say, researchers and scholars from having access to good information. But there is an aspect of it that we call fair use. With this fair use, you are able to still use some works that are covered by copyright, and you will not be apprehended for it. Fair use can enable you as a student, as a researcher, to use information without being apprehended. But this fair use is also being abused because the limit is not well explained by the law. You know, so because it's not well explained, you find that even scholars are abusing fair use. They are abusing it. Now, because it does not really explain, you know, what the fair use has to be. At least you must check these very factors. When we talk about fair use, ask yourself some questions. What purpose do you have in mind? And the character of the use. What is your purpose? I'll give you an example now. If it's for a commercial purpose, it's no longer covered by fair use. It's no longer covered by fair use. So the purpose comes into play, and the character of the use. The nature of the copyrighted work. What is the nature of the copyrighted work? The amount and substantiability of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole. Maybe you copy somebody else's work. Almost half the work, and then you will now say it's fair use. You have, it's wrong. Fair use appeals to the ethics, It appeals to your morals. It appeals to your morals. Ask yourself, is it really fair? You know, it's no longer covered by fair use when you use a substantial portion of a person's work. Then the effects of the use upon the potential markets for a value of the copyrighted work. Maybe you have used it substantially, and then it devalues the economic value of the original work. Then it's no longer fair use. So you must at least make sure that even with fair use, you are careful. Maybe sometimes you want to take quotations. For instance, you lift up quotations and the quotation is so long, you know, from a work. And then you say it without acknowledging the person. So fair use will not cover all that. Yes, we have fair use. But when we say fair use, please let it be fair. Let it appeal to your conscience. Then let's look at plagiarism and its implication. Plagiarism and its implication. Now, what do we mean? Copyrights. We are looking at we are looking at plagiarism implications and then copyrights infringement. I want us, before we look at the plagiarism and its implication, let's look at copyright infringement. What do we mean by copyright infringement? What do we mean? What we mean is they are all activities. Infringements are all unlawful activities that violate the rights of copyright holders. They are all unlawful activities that violate the rights of copyright holders. So these are, some will use, you are infringing on the copyright holder's rights. So you look at it from this, they are all unlawful activities. Now, we have already agreed that copyrights gives the author the monopoly of the distribution of his work. It gives the author the monopoly of distribution of his work, of the handling of his work. Now, in what areas? Number one, the author has the right to reproduce a work. He is the author, he has the right. All the rights that are conferred on the author concerning his work. One, he has the right to reproduce his work. The right to create derivative works based upon it. The right, he has the right to create maybe sequels, derivative works based on that work. He has the right, the monopoly. The author again has the right to distribute copies of his work to the public. He has the right. The author has the right to publicly display or perform the work. He has the right. So, but when you infringe on these rights of the author that I have listed now, that is what we call copyright infringement. That means you have engaged in an unlawful activity violating the rights of the copyright holder. It means
the second one.
Okay, the second one, the right to, it's there in your, you can go back to your coursework. The right to create derivative works based upon it. The right to create derivative works based upon the original work.
That's explain.
If I may explain, okay. You know, you can actually write a novel, for instance. You can actually write a novel. and you decide to write a criticism on that particular novel as another work. He has the work. And again, you can actually write a novel, and then you will now write the second novel as a sequel to that first novel. You have the right. You understand? So that's what I mean. But he alone has the right. He has the monopoly. He alone has the right. But when you decide to do it on your own, unlawfully, you are violating the rights of the author. So we must not engage in reproducing an author's work, in creating derivatives of an author's work, in distributing an author's work. You pirate the work, you start distributing, you start selling it, or distributing maybe in your class or your friends. It's not allowed. The right to publicly display. Maybe an author writes a play. You now decide to go and perform that play. Is wrong. So all of this, you must not infringe on the author's rights. Now let's look at plagiarism. Let's look at plagiarism. Plagiarism is a very broad term. It covers a very broad scope and is a problem in research. As an academic, myself, for everyone, plagiarism is a problem, and we have to be very cautious of it. And what do we mean by plagiarism? Plagiarism is when someone uses someone else's intellectual products like the text, your ideas or results, and implies that it is their own. You are using somebody else's intellectual products and you are implying that it's your own. Sometimes you can imply without even knowing, unknowingly. Why? Because you have not acknowledged the author properly. And then you may just, overlook. Ignorance is not an excuse. So you may not even know. You may purposely do it, but you may not even know that you are supposed to handle it in that particular way or to reference it in a particular way. So it's not an excuse. So plagiarism is a problem, and we have to be very, very careful. Now, let's look at the areas that plagiarism can actually cover. Some words can be covered by copyrights. Plagiarism, you can still plagiarize a work that is covered by copyrights. You can also plagiarize a work that is even unpublished, that is not even covered by copyright, is not yet published. You can still plagiarize that work. I'll give you an example. You can even plagiarize yourself. You yourself, you have written a work. Then you now embellish that work and represent it as if it's another work. You still put your name, the same content. That is also plagiarism. So plagiarism is broad. You cannot say now, if because it is your work, you are the one plagiarizing yourself, nobody will take you to court. Will anybody take you? But it will appeal to your conscience. You know that you have just plagiarized yourself. So plagiarism, sometimes, you may not have to be dragged to court. Most times, yes. But other times, you have done it. It's ethically wrong. And it ought not to be so. So plagiarism is quite broad. Let's say for an unpublished work. For instance, your friend has written a beautiful piece and you got to know about it. The work is not yet published. You plagiarize it. You just copy everything into and as if it is your own. That again is plagiarism. Works that are in public domain. There are works that are in public domain. Like let's say works that are already in repositories. Let's say works that are in institutional repositories. For instance, they're already in public domain. The rights have been removed so that you can have free access to this work. But then you discover that if you use them unlawfully, because there are still some laws covering them, or you just decide to download these works just because they are open educational resources. You download them, you begin to sell them, make multiple copies. It is wrong. All those, you are plagiarizing that work, and it is wrong. So even words that are in public domain is much of a problem, especially electronic resources. People copy and paste easily, and all these are wrong. It should not be so. It's under plagiarism, and if caught, you will face the music. So I have also explained copying steps. So you can see that works that are not even covered by copyright can be plagiarized. Works covered by copyright can also be plagiarized. So plagiarism is broad, and is a problem in the academic world. So we have looked at that. Then how do we really avoid all of this? How do we avoid plagiarism? How do we avoid being caught, in the web? How? Is by proper referencing. That's why as academics, you must know how to reference properly. Like as I told you, ignorance is not an excuse of the law. And now you will not say you have not been told. If you copy a work, any work, you have to properly, and you are not expected to copy word for word. Even if you paraphrase, you have to acknowledge. And the proportion also matters. You cannot paraphrase a whole page, 2 pages, 3 pages, and you claim it's your work and present it as your own original work. So you have to be very careful. So we are going to be looking at Unit 3 now, which is Harvard in-test, citing, and referencing. We are looking at Harvard in-test, citing, and referencing. A referencing style is a set of rules. We are looking at in-test, citing, and referencing. Are we there? Now, a referencing style is a set of rules that instructs you on how to acknowledge the thoughts, ideas, and works of others in a particular way. Ms. Sanusi, you are welcome. I hope you are following the class. So it instructs you on how to acknowledge the thoughts, ideas, and works of others in a particular way. In a particular way. There are different types of referencing style. You must be consistent with the referencing style you are using. If you want to use, I will list the different types of referencing style, but I want to first of all inform you that if you are using upper, don't use upper halfway and add Chicago style. If you are using one type of style, you must be consistent with that style. And apart from that, you must also find out from the institution where you are sending that, either where you are sending your article to or the institution of your study. Maybe you are writing your project now. You must find out the kind of referencing style used by National Open University of Nigeria. So that if National Open University of Nigeria permits upper referencing style, that is the only style that you are going to be using for your project and even for all your term papers. So it depends on the institution. So you have to find out. Then there are types of referencing style, different types. There is this American Meteorological Society style. We have the upper referencing style. You have the Chicago style. You have the Harvard style, of Oxford referencing style, and so on. There are other referencing styles, but there are 2 very common referencing styles that we are going to be looking at. The Harvard one is relatively common, and the upper is common. And I think National Open University uses the upper referencing style. So, but you have to find out as a student, it's your own assignment, and know the style used by National Open University. Then, so we are going to be looking at the two different styles that are very common. There are other styles you can read up. You can read up other styles. Harvard, we are looking at Harvard, and we're also looking at the upper referencing style. Now, Harvard referencing style is commonly used by students and researchers to cite information sources. There are always two paths to Harvard style. It's not only to Harvard style. We are going to be covering somehow all of the styles, somehow, but particularly to Harvard style. But I'm now saying that there are two paths to the styles. Number one is the in-text citation. Number one side to reference is the in-text citation, and the other one is the reference list. The second one is the reference list. What do we mean by in-text citation? In-text citation. This is used in the body of the work when quoting or paraphrasing a source. You have to find out how you cite authors in the body of the work. Now you are not compiling the references at the back, at the end of your work. Now at the body, you have to find out how you have to quote authors, how you need to cite them. So you have to find body of the work. Then the second aspect is the reference list. The reference list. This is a comprehensive list of all citations with their full bibliographic information located at the end of every academic or research work. This is what to find at the end. This list is what to find at the end. I want to announce to us that it's only what you have already cited, the body of the work, that you have to reference at the end. Only what you have cited that you have to reference at the end. So it has to be comprehensive, and you don't have to add anything that you have not referenced. So that is it. Then Harvard actually has a general format. The general format, Harvard has a general format, which is important that we note. Now, what is the general format for citing a work? The first, look at the first thing is first name. You have to, sorry, my dear, last name. Last name means surname. You understand? Last name. The first thing you do is to take that author's last name. And after it, the punctuation marks are very important. You don't overlook it. After the author's last name or surname, you must put a comma. Is that clear? A comma. Then first initials. You put the initials. You know that when you use initial, you must put full stop because it's an initial. Is that clear? Yes. Then year of publication. After the initials, you know it ends with a full stop. Then, because it's an initial, you have to put a full stop after that initial. Let's say, example now, your surname is Momo, is it not?
Yes.
Your surname is Momo. So I will say, maybe Momo has written a beautiful piece. I will say Momo, comma, F, full stop, Aliu, those are your initial, another full stop. You understand? Then the next thing is to put year of publication. Year of publication. What year? Let's say 2019. And that year must be put in parentheses. In parentheses. As you put your is it matriculation, what is your name? Matriculation number there. I can see your matriculation number. Yes. As you put it in parentheses, that year of publication should be put in parentheses. And after that, you put your full stop. After the year of publication, a full stop. Then after that, you now write your title. Title. Because usually, and most times, if it's a book, the title would come as in italic. If it's a book, the title will be in italic. But if it's a journal, just leave it like that. Then you put a title. After your title, there is a full stop. Then after the full stop, you put the place of publication. Where is it published? Let's say Momo published that book in Ibadan. If you publish the book in Ibadan, you will put the city, which is Ibadan. Ibadan is a city. You understand? Some may put Ibadan, Nigeria, just to tell you the country. But some will just put Ibadan. You understand? And then they will not put the colon. Remember, place of publication, colon, full colon. Yes, not semi, full colon. Place of publication, colon. And after that, you now put the publisher. The publisher. The punctuation marks, very important. The publisher. Publisher, you put comma, and then you now write your page. After that, you put the pages. Okay? So publisher, comma, then the pages. So that is the general format for
Harvard.
Yes, for Harvard. Then we can look at, although the general format, that is the general format for books. For instance, now we are looking for books. General format for books. General format for books. If you look at it, you know the information you need to provide. You already know, if you want to reference a work, all the information you need to provide. Mr. Momo, you should know now. By now, you should know that you must provide last name. You must provide.
Last name.
Yes, you must. Good. You must provide all of them. Good.
The title.
Good.
In italic, if it's a book. If it's a journal, there's no need for italic.
Good.
The place of publication and the publisher, comma, pages.
Good. So you have to provide all of this. But if it's a book, this is a general format I just gave you. There's something you must provide. Edition statement is very necessary. If it's a book, edition statement is necessary. So let me just tell you the sequence. If it's a book. Okay. Now, if it's a book, you will put that last name. That last name, which is, I'm just using you as example, Momo. Then your first initials, you will put S. Yes, S-A. S, full stop, A, full stop. Then you will put the year, 2019, in parentheses. And put a full stop after that. Now you put the title of the book. Give us a title. Maybe you have written a book. What book have you written?
Extrinsic motivation and employees' performance.
Good. What motivation?
Extrinsic.
Oh, extrinsic motivation and employee performance. Good. So you will write it. You now put it. Good. You put it in italics. Okay? For the Harvard. Then after that, full stop. After the title of your book, full stop. Then edition. Then after that, edition. Is that clear? Now, why am I bringing in this? Because I want you to note this edition for a book. Edition statement is very important. Now, if it is a first edition, you should not include it. If it is a first edition, don't bother including first edition. But if it's from second edition, third edition, include edition statement. Okay? You include it in parentheses. Year of publication is in parentheses. No, I'm sorry, my dear. I'm sorry. Not in parentheses, please. Edition statement is not in parentheses. What is in parentheses? The only year of publication. Is that clear? Edition statement. After your edition statement, put a full stop. Let's say second end. You can put second edition, abbreviate that edition, ED, full stop, okay? And then, yes, I'm just saying for instance, maybe second edition, ED, you put your full stop. And then after that, your place of, the same thing, place of publication. What is the punctuation after place of publication? The punctuation.
Colon.
Good.
Colon.
You put your full colon. Then publisher. What is the punctuation after publisher? The punctuation. Comma. You now put your comma, and then you put the pages. Okay?
Yes.
So that way it's simple for you now. So we have already seen how you can. Now, general format for journal articles. Now let's look at the general format for referencing journal article. Now the first thing for journal article now is the same. You know, I gave you a general format. Now for the journal article, last name, again, that is Momo. Then after that, comma. Then your first initial, your first initial or your initials. Then you put your full stop. Your year of publication again will come into place in parentheses. After that, the article title. Article title. Do you understand now? Article title. Okay? Now, this article title, you don't need to put it in italics. Article title is not in italics. You know that the book title was in italics. But article title is not in italics. Let's say you have that title you gave me is an article in a journal. It will not be in italics, but because it's an article. So you write it that way and put a full stop after the article title. Okay, after the article title. Now you have to tell us in which journal did it appear. Journal title. After article title is journal title. It is important that you tell us in which journal that it appears. Then you now write, yes, journal title. And that journal title must be in italics. Do you understand now? It's not the journal title that will be in italics. Is it clear? Good.
Yes,
and after the journal title is a comma. After the journal title is a comma. Okay? Then you will now write your volume. The volume. It can be volume 1. What issue? It can be issue 2. Volume 1, issue 2, volume 1, issue 4. But the issue is very important. Your year of publication is in parentheses. Is it not so? Your year of publication.
Yes.
Your issue number has to also be in parentheses for a journal. Your volume is not in parentheses. The volume is outside written, maybe 4. The issue has to be in parentheses. Maybe volume 4, you will just write, no need to put volume, just write 4. If it's volume 4, just write 4. Then the issue now, you have to put it in parentheses. Issue 2, put it in parentheses. And after that, comma. Then you now write the pages. You can be 54 pages, 54 to whatever. That is it. Okay?
In this case, there is no need for publisher.
No, this is a journal article. So there's nothing like the publisher. You understand? So once you put in, it's only in the book. You'll be looking for the publisher and the place of publication. So you understand now, it's unique, it's different. Article is different from book referencing. So this, so for that, you won't have any problem with the general. So I'm just going to let you read up the rest so that we can quickly look at APA, okay? And before our time will soon be over. Now, let's look at APA in-text citing and referencing. APA in-text citing and referencing. We have already defined what a referencing rule is. We have already said so. Again, we have also agreed that there are 2 parts to it. You understand? When I told you, what are the 2 parts to reference? Oh, you are getting it. Beautiful. The in-text and then the reference list. Good, beautiful, good. So we are not looking at the general rules for APA referencing. You know, those of your colleagues that are not in this class, they have missed a great deal. They will be finding it difficult to comprehend, but it becomes easy when you meet with the facilitator. So we are not looking at the general rules for APA referencing. General rules. You know, we looked at the general rules for Harvard referencing. Let's look at the general rules for APA referencing. All of the references in the reference list must also be cited in the body of the work. I've already told you this. It is mandatory for any type of referencing. So we are reiterating, re-emphasizing. Okay? Then secondly, all references cited in the body of the work must also be included in the reference list. Okay? All references, we have said that. The reference list should be arranged alphabetically by author's surname. This is very important. Okay? At the end, you have to arrange it alphabetically according to author's surname. It's not according to the way it appeared on the body of the work. Yes, according to author's surname. Good. Provide organization names in full. It demands that, like now, NOUN, you are going to say National Open University of Nigeria. Okay? In full. Provide organization names in full, unless they are obviously recognizable as abbreviations. But even when they are recognizable, we demand that you provide organization names in full. Okay? When referencing. For titles, subtitles of an article or chapters in a book, capitalize only the first word. Only the first word. Very important. Now, what was that your title again? It's telling you that you should. Extrinsic. Good. It's only extrinsic. That E is the only thing you will capitalize. Writing the title for APA referencing. Is it clear? You know, most times we will capitalize every word, you know, but now it's saying that it's only the first word. That E in extrinsic, every other thing will go in lowercase, except it's a proper noun. Okay? That's it. So capitalize, it says to us, capitalize only the first word. Journal titles and book titles should be italicized. Journal titles, we have said so. We have said so. You saw that you italicized the book title. Was it not so? We also saw that you italicized the journal title, not article title, notes. Not article title, book title, and journal title. You have to italize. It also goes for Harvard. Do you understand? The same thing.
Similarity.
Those are the similarities. Be consistent, which I started with. I said be consistent with your referencing style across the document. You don't jump from one to another. You jump from Harvard, you go to the next. Is that clear? Good. APA referencing of journal articles. Now we are looking at APA referencing of journal articles. In fact, what happened was that I gave an example here, but you will go and see some of the examples in your course material. Okay? But with what we have discussed, it's going to be very easy for you, what we have discussed. But you must pay specific attention to what I'm going to be saying. Okay? Yes, when you are referencing journal articles. APA, you know, we have treated that of Harvard. Now APA. With the authors, you have to note the punctuation. You have to note the punctuation. Okay? We noted the punctuation. Now, let me tell you one thing now. Let's say that a difference, a striking difference. Let's assume that it's not only you that wrote that article. Maybe Momo and Okpala, you wrote it joint article with myself. You will write Momo, comma, Momo S.A. And Okpala, maybe I'm the second author. Okpala, comma, A.E. Is that clear? So you have to you have to reference both author. Let's assume they are both. But if it is Harvard, the and there, you are going to write it as and. A-N-D. Yes.
Okay.
A in capital, A-N-D. But if it is for Harvard, if it is for APA, just use the symbol. Use the symbol. You don't need to write in full. Okay? The year of publication appears immediately after author's name. Author's name, which we have already said. It is the same thing. Okay? It's the same thing. In parentheses, in brackets, followed by a full stop. The same thing. Okay? Capitalize only the first letter of the first word and of the subtitle. We have said that in the general rule. We have said that in the general rule. Okay? Good. For the journal title, italize all the title. Okay? We have already said that too. If it is a journal title, you have to italize. In addition, italize all the first letters of every word, except for connecting words. Except capitalize all the first letters of every word, except for connecting words, then a comma. Do you understand? Sure. Now, this one is important. It's important. You know that we said that for an article title, you only capitalize the first letter. Article title. But what about the journal? What about the journal? The journal itself, the journal title. But for the journal title, which you are going to italize, you are going to capitalize the first letter of every word. Yeah. Every word. The first letter of every word for the journal title that is italized is very important. Note it. Yeah. You are going to capitalize the first letter of every word. Let's say now the electronic library is a journal title. I mean, the electronic library is a journal title. It's not an article title. Electronic number is a journal title. I will italize that electronic library. And T will be capital letter. E will be capital letter. L will be capital letter. I hope it's clear. Good. Yes. So I don't think we have any problem with that. I will advise you to go and read up and be ready for your exam. When you read up, it's going to be very clear and easy for you. The exam is going to be easy for you because you in particular, you have successfully, followed this lecture to its end. And I believe that it's going to help you a great deal in the exam. But that notwithstanding, if you have any question, anything that has been bugging you, that you have not been able to comprehend in the course of you can still raise it. But for now, I will say bye-bye. Except to have a question. Do you have?
I have two questions, madam.
Okay.
Two questions. Yeah.
Okay.
Like in Nigeria, what is the level of plagiarism that is acceptable?
The level of?
The legally acceptable level of plagiarism in Nigeria.
Nigeria has a problem. Enforcing law. Enforcing the law is the problem. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But it is better that you are not caught. But if somebody decides to, we have a mentality. We don't usually drag people to court. But then some are doing so. Do you understand? Yeah. And then don't be a culprit because you will be dragged to the court and then you will be a scapegoat. Even though it's once in a while that we enforce these laws, but it will be enforced. So I cannot say about Nigeria, but if you dare in the Western world, you're going for it. Okay?
Serious.
Thank you.
The second and last question. When we started this topic for today, you defined the copyright.
Yes.
And you say copyright exclude others from the use of another mass creation.
Yeah.
Then in the book, that's in the course material, it said copyrights are those legal rights over the creation of the minds.
Yes.
Now, if I'm faced in an exam situation, maybe question 1 says copyright is that. Maybe A, you have a legalized overdiction of the mind, and the B says to exclude others from the use of another mass creation. Which one should I take? Okay. Is it the one in the course material?
Okay, the truth is that the facilitator puts into consideration that you can use different terminology to describe different things, okay?
Oh, yeah.
So if I'm going to ask that kind of a question, I will be sure that no matter how I frame it, it can give you the answer, okay? Yeah, it excludes others from the right on unlawful use, to unlawfully use somebody's without permission. That's, you know, but if it's with permission, others can use it with appropriate permission and putting fair use into consideration. Others can use it. Do you understand? So if I'm going to ask such questions, I will be sure I would have read it through and through that no other option will be right except one. Okay? Okay, so on that note.
Another one. Sorry, ma'am.
Two questions.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
In Nigeria, which repressive style is most applicable?
Like I told you that it depends on the institution.
Okay.
That's what I told you, it depends on the institution. Okay? But APA is relatively common, but it depends on the institution. Okay? So on that note, bye for now.
Thank you.
See you.
I'm grateful.
Thank you.
Have a nice rest.
And you too.
Bye.